The Great War of Lanka ends not with a final battle cry, but with stillness. Ravana has fallen, and the deafening chaos of the battlefield gives way to an eerie, sudden silence. In macro-political history, the moment of greatest vulnerability rarely occurs during the conflict itself. It happens the moment the enemy is defeated. When a shared external threat vanishes, a dangerous vacuum of power takes its place. The Vanara army now begins the long march back to Kishkindha. The soldiers are no longer the enthusiastic recruits who left. They carry the weight of loss and the invisible scars of battle-hardened veterans. Victory on the battlefield is a physical triumph, but the transition to a sustainable peace requires a completely different and far more technical kind of leadership. Returning to Kishkindha meant facing a recent history of civil strife. The kingdom had already been fractured by the violent coup that left King Vali dead and placed his brother Sugriva in power. Now, Vali's son, Prince Angada, is coming home. He is no longer the grieving child left behind. He returns as a lethal military commander who holds the deep respect of the entire army. This dynamic creates a political powder keg. Sugriva holds the political throne, but Angada returns with the unquestioned loyalty of the kingdom's military forces. Historically, this exact imbalance leads directly to a war of succession. An aggrieved heir with an army at his back has every incentive to claim his right to avenge his father through force. The survival of the kingdom was now a question of intent. Would Angada leverage his troops to seize his inheritance through bloodshed, or follow an unproven path? The stability of the entire civilization balanced on a knife's edge, dependent entirely on the personal restraint of a grieving prince. But the post-war reality of Kishkindha defied the historical pattern. Sugriva remained on the throne, and Angada peacefully resumed his place in the royal court. There is a total absence of conflict. Sugriva made a deliberate political choice to never treat his nephew as a rival or attempt to diminish his standing. Angada responded with an equally deliberate choice. He refused to weaponize his popularity, actively denying his commanders the factional war they were prepared to fight. This conscious breaking of the revenge cycle is how societies survive. One deliberate act of restraint arrests the momentum, stopping a cataclysmic chain reaction. Fractured kingdoms only truly heal when their most powerful leaders prioritize cooperation over the deep-seated reflex for revenge. Angada's education was forged by loss. Stripped of the standard royal upbringing, he was forced to rebuild his identity based on observation rather than tradition. He analyzed the life of his father, Vali, and consciously rejected the traits that led to his downfall, specifically unyielding pride and uncontrollable anger. Instead, he curated his leadership style, absorbing patience from Tara and tactical wisdom from Jambavan. Hanuman modeled strength tempered by duty, teaching Angada that power finds its true purpose only when directed toward a cause larger than the self. And through his alliance with Rama, Angada witnessed the supreme requirement of Dharma, the adherence to righteousness even when the personal cost is high. These diverse teachings replaced his youthful entitlement with a sense of stoic responsibility. Angada functioned as the steady center of the alliance. By operating without a need for personal recognition, he earned the absolute trust of every major leader in the kingdom. While other princes wait for a throne, Angada spent his youth synthesizing the virtues of an era's greatest heroes. This leads to the question the text never explicitly answers. Did Angada eventually become the king of Kishkindha? The primary source, the Valmiki Ramayana, simply stops mentioning his political trajectory. It secures his place as an honored prince and then moves the narrative back to Ayodhya. Epic history prioritizes the loud leadership of conquerors and those who fight for the spotlight. Angada represents the leadership of a bridge builder. He absorbed personal loss and bypassed political opportunities specifically to maintain the stability of his society. History frequently forgets its most vital heroes, precisely because their success, preventing a disaster, leaves no ruins behind to document. Angada's legacy forces us to consider how we measure value in leadership today. Authentic authority is never granted by a title. It is earned slowly through steadfast, reliable character. Angada's defining success was an internal one. the ability to place the long-term survival of his community above his own personal ambition. The foundations of any society are often the quiet, unseen structures that silently hold the architecture together against the test of time. Angada required no crown from the historians, having already secured the survival of his people as their primary guardian.